Hey everybody, welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. I'm joined today with
Amy.
Deborah.
You want to put your last names out for privacy purposes? Or you good where you at?
I'm good.
You good? Okay, we're good. Amy and Deborah are two of the favorite people for me to see at Comic-Cons. They volunteer, they cosplay, they run panels, they do all sorts of things. They're one of the most active people. There's some of the most active people I know at any of these shows, and they're always a treat for us to actually see, and except for 2018, where there's no visible proof that we interacted.
But we actually hung out more than we ever took photos.
Yeah.
I actually saw him out of town.
Right? We saw you in Atlanta, and we still didn't get a photo.
Still didn't get him.
So, one of the panels you guys do frequently, tell us about your panels, or like the Colors of Fandom. Is that you?
No, it's us.
That's
both
you guys.
of us.
That's
Yeah.
both of y'all.
Yeah, we're both in the group. Yeah.
So, go for it.
Yeah, Color of Fandom started, what did we decide earlier? 2013.
That's when Faith and Fandom started.
Yeah, it started as a meetup group. We do all sorts of things, movies, book clubs, as well as hanging out at cons, panels. But the biggest thing about our group is we're focused on diversity and being inclusive of everyone, no matter who you want to cosplay, which character that you love, or why you love it. It's all open.
And we have a strong online presence, especially our Facebook page. We usually just talk about the issues, whether it be in movies or TV shows that come out. A lot of creators are on our pages advertising. And then we've been getting more involved in Twitter and Instagram, especially when we have our panels and we post them.
We live tweet all the time.
So, outside of you two, who runs this?
Donna Easton is the founder.
Okay.
And there's 8 of us on the admin team. We all have different roles. We are looking to become a nonprofit also. We had our first charity event at this con for
Book Harvest.
that we collected children's books.
Okay. That's dope. How many books did you get?
We haven't done a final count, but
Yeah, they're like about 20 to 30.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, how many? I mean, I don't expect you to know an exact number. How many panels have you done so far doing this?
When did we start panels? 4 years ago?
I think 4 years ago. I think I've been on at least 4 now.
Yeah, and I've been on maybe 4. Oh yeah, I've probably been on 4 also. But we've done like tons though.
Okay.
We average about
3 panels a con
Okay.
that we're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other panels?
Well, the ones that we talked about, we had this for this con was a fan panel about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then the other one was Walking Dead.
And but all of our panels, we do focus on what our group is about. So they were both about the diversity of the pros and the cons of the movies and the shows, but basically the positives that they're showing in diversity. For both of them were about the universe. Well, so Into the Spider-Verse, they actually did the whole verse, but the Walking Dead panel was about the whole universe with the video game, the TV show.
Okay, covering everything. Flynn.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yes.
And some other big ones that we've done strong female characters in comics, as well as TV shows. And we try to talk to kind of spun off from our group is 2 of our members actually do a diversity issue podcast where they kind of focus on comics,
Indie comics.
And they've interviewed different types of writers. They've done a Black Lightning panel. We've also talked about kind of the not so good parts, like problematic faves. So it just kind of ranges with the type of panels that we do.
what would you say is the most positive thing you guys have accomplished as a group?
I think today, in our Spider-Verse panel, there's a little boy who, I don't know, he had the best responses, but he kind of talked about how the movie impacted him being a person of color and coming from a blended household and just
and a
bilingual, yeah, and
yeah.
just seeing, kind of just seeing like his perspective and hearing it, and just knowing that movies are getting made for him, but also there's groups that he can be a part of too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had, us having the table here this time at the convention. We've had a lot of families come up to the table, being appreciative that we're here and a group like us exists for everybody that's coming up, that we can talk about the movies that are coming out, that are being, diverse and inclusive.
Also, too, fandom, certain parts of fandom is just becoming ridiculously toxic. Like, this almost to a whole nother not good level. And just having the Color Fandom as a group, just knowing that it's supportive. We take all types, whether you like this person or you feel about this person, it's needed to have those type of groups in there as well.
And a lot of things that a lot of the other admins talk about.
Ladies and gentlemen, North Carolina Comic-Con, Raleigh wants to remind you to have a great weekend. We are at a 10-minute warning. Please, attendees, start making your way to the exits. Again, vendors, beware before you can pull up your loaded vehicle. Please try to have much of your inventory packed up and good to go. We will not open up the loading docks until all non-vendor people, all attendees, have left the floor.
Yay for announcements. Go ahead.
We say we're a safe space. A lot of people, especially they join our Facebook group because of that. They can feel like they can say their piece about something, and nobody, they don't. You're on Facebook more, but
as long as it's constructive.
Yes.
Yes. There's and if someone does take it personal, it does get looked at.
Yeah.
And it gets taken care of. But yeah, there's plenty. I don't know. It's very, we go and we can go in depth about different geeky topics, and we'll take it like a step farther, just kind of talking about how this movie impacted us, or, this movie kind of affected me in this way, which I think is important.
So if someone came on your group and said that Thor Ragnarok was trash, you'd be supportive and loving and not.
We will constructively talk to disagree. I mean, I've seen some
disagreements
that are, that you can have a good disagreement without becoming.
Yeah, we've had many conversations, that went good and bad about who's the best doctor,
Yeah.
we topics like that do go back and forth. It happens.
Since you've been doing this, for 6 years, or going on 6 years of doing this, would you say that the climate and con culture has gotten better or worse in regards to these things?
That's a tough one. I think it's gotten better. I think we still have a long way to go. I think that's what it is. It's gotten better. We are farther than we were, but we still have a long way to go before we get truly together.
I mean, especially with the people not realizing how big a part women are in the, because most of our group is heavily female. And, we still get looked at as quote unquote unicorns. And I'm 40 and I've been reading comics since the mid 80s.
Yeah, and too, like you said, there's so many because of the group, you know, as women, we can feel empowered, we can feel supportive, you know, just talking to other comic groups. And I don't know, I had to leave this one Doctor Who group because I get accused so many times of, oh, you only like the female doctor because you're a girl, da da da, and like, you know, and they literally told me that I was being emotional. Yeah, that's like the rated G versions, you know, so yeah.
Like they kept telling Captain Marvel to stop being emotional when she wasn't
Correct.
emotional.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we found each other. We just have to make the group bigger.
Yeah. Yes.
Just to ask this question, Richard Cutright, who's a hip hop artist in the Charlotte area, made a kind of a big, not a big deal out of it, but he brought to light that he had an issue with Captain Marvel because the only woman of color in the film was a single mother. Is that an issue like that you see as an issue? Do you think that's just part of her storyline? Do you think there was anything wrong in that perspective?
I can't speak of it from like experience. Plus, I don't know a lot of the backstory on it. But from what I've heard from I just heard. I think it was the other things that overpowered it. A lot of people thought her character was done good.
Her character was great.
Was done great, and then her what are some things right?
And also, too, like, kind of flipping the script a little bit, they were their own, like, supportive family. Like, it wasn't like she was just a single mother. It was pretty obvious that Carol lived with her and helped take care of her daughter. And they weren't, like, together, like, in that sense. But, like, they were, like, their own family. And to me, it didn't, just because it wasn't, like, a traditional mother and father relationship, she still had two strong women taking care of her. And almost in a sense, you kind of have to look at it that way as well. And also, too, we don't really know too much about her background, but from what you can tell in the movie, she joined the military. She joined the Air Force. Like, when you first see her, like, in real time with Carol, she's, like, fixing the ship. Like, she was just well-educated. She was strong.
She never came across as weak.
Correct.
No.
It wasn't, like, that typical, like, not saying all single mothers are. It wasn't written that way.
They're more strong.
Yeah, they're more strong.
But
you know, like...
His big thing was that it, because the first strong female of color, as he put it, of color. I know there are other females of color in Marvel fandom, but he said the first.
Black Panther.
No, that was the thing. He's like,
Blush.
he said the only female outside of Wakanda that you see is a single mom. He felt like that was a jab. Now I don't feel like it was, but do you feel like that's? I mean, specifically with Captain Marvel being fresh, do you feel like there were any areas that, from what you're dealing with and things you promote, like that they didn't handle well, or that you thought they did exceptionally well?
I
Go
thought Nick Fury, they did. I mean, this is the focus on him. You know, you always see him as a side character.
Like this omniscient,
Yeah.
like in the background.
I mean, and
Coat flaps around, you know, like he actually had story and character.
I really appreciate. I mean, they had even her. You know, Micah's daughter had a story, and to have like 3, you know, Black people that were prominent, that were a part of the story, and helped save the day. You know, I appreciate it.
Do you feel like there? You know, giving Sam a good story is a big deal, but I've also heard it flip that, you know, that he was taking time away from Marvel. Do you feel like that at all? Or do you feel like that was an issue that, you know, that they didn't think it would have legs to carry itself if they didn't put Samuel L. Jackson in it? I don't. That's not my opinion. But do you?
I think because of the story, you had to have someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. in it. I don't think it had to be, if it had to be Sam, so be it. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as you had to have someone kind of connected to the other stories, you know, and it, you know, it happened to be Sam, You know, it happened to be Nick Fury. And like you said, we got to see some character growth. We got to see, you know, he was questioning why he was in S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, it was this...
It was the first, like, real glimpse into a human beyond a shadowy figure.
Yeah,
and you got to see how he got his...
Do you feel okay with the flirting taking his eye? I mean,
that cat freaked me out.
It did.
I
was like, I'm glad I don't have a cat at home.
I mean, when that happened, when things came out, and I was like, oh my God, did that just happen?
it was very Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But then I also loved how he loved that cat. I mean, it was like...
He's a big
laughed.
softie. He's a big softie, you know?
All right, they're about to shut us down on the Comic-Con overall. If there's one thing you could tell nerd culture, the Comic-Con community, if there's one thing you'd want just put out there, what would you want it to be?
So, like, out there. I think don't be afraid of you. I think that's one of the reasons why we're such good friends is we connect. Like, we love our geek, but we're also really into sports. You know, we're not afraid to, you know, we were going back and forth a little bit over the Duke Florida State game last night. You know, like, if you want to be a geek, be a geek.
North Carolina Comicon Raleigh wants to thank you for a wonderful show. All attendees must be off the floor as of right now. Vendors, time to load up.
But a lot of times, basically, I say, you know, we're the same person from two different cultures.
Well,
I mean,
you two have, like, I mean, it feels weird to ever see you apart.
Yeah. We both volunteer for concerts, and it was really funny. One time, the lead coordinator, I didn't realize she had signed up to volunteer. And the coordinator texted me and was like, Deborah's volunteering for the show. Are you going to volunteer for the show? And I was like, wait a second. But yeah, I think just find your people, find your group, you know, and don't be afraid.
Yeah, find your tribe. That's a lot of things we talk about.
And also, too, this kind of, you know, that's another thing that we connect on is just kind of adding our faith into it as well. You know, because we're able, when you find someone who shares similar faith, I know sometimes in the group, like, people will get stuck on certain things and we'll talk about, all right, well, we look at it differently because, you know, we believe this, you know, and we know that there's hope and, you know, we don't have to get stuck in the storyline because...
It changes the lens.
Correct. It changes the lens a lot.
Well, we need to wrap up, so thanks for joining us on here, and thanks for being amazing, and thanks for being my con family, and I'm sorry you think Guardians 2 sucks.
We still all love each other. In the name of Christ.
We still love you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Faith and Fandom podcast. This is Hector Mirai.
And I'm Timmy Martin.